So appreciate you coming. We'll get started. So again, my name is Keith Lockhart. I am the Vice President of Technology and Training at Oxygen Forensics. And if I've known you in the past, that's kind of a change in the last few months. I've added a new facet to my role at the company, which involves trying to make sure when we have conversations like this that are forward facing to our customer base, the suggestions and comments and bugs or anything else we can find from a software perspective have a good line of communication back to the development teams so we can kind of be responsive and agile on how we address things and make new features and get things fixed when they need to be. So that said, Dan Dollarhide is also on this webinar with me and us. Dan runs a sales engineering team, and he and I spend many, many hours a day, a week, a month in the analytics center. So to show some collaborative capability of the center, Dan and I have agreed to have some fun together with this hour and maybe at the end demonstrate some of that collaboration from afar. So that said, let's talk about Oxygen Analytic Center. And I would say that by the name, there is some really interesting analytic technology built into this web-based, collaborative, real-time platform. I think I'm covering all the buzzwords that were in the description of this webinar and kind of, the way we talk about the tool. But it's web-based, right? So we're trying to make the footprint light, make it so you can access things from anywhere, anytime, which is, another cool set of buzzwords. And really build into it as we go forward the ability to make it applicable to technical folks when they want to get out a social analyzer or do some text analyzing or elastic searching, down to the folks that don't want anything to do with that. They just want a way to review, assign data to them, make some reports real quick, and get some work done by force multiplying users and capabilities. So I want to talk about the interface and what's in it from all the menu perspectives to kind of give you a vision into the tool, and then also kind of impart the way Analytics Center can interact with Detective. So if you're an existing Oxygen user, you probably have Detective, and there's some really cool functionality between those tools in terms of collaboration or, hey, I need help with this, you do this part. To say somebody who's running a lab maybe has Detective already and then wants to get other people involved from a web-based perspective. Dan, you want to add anything to that voluptuous definition?
No, man, I think that was you nailed it pretty well. I think I would add just for the couple people that are still kind of joining us. During the webinar, the microphones are going to be muted for everybody, and that's just to keep good webinar hygiene. Shuffling papers, barking dogs, etc. But while Keith is chatting, I am going to be manning the questions and the chats in the tool. So if you got anything that I can try to jump on for you, or I can bring to Keith's attention, and he can try to cover during the middle of it. Please put them in there.
Appreciate that. Okay, well, so first I'll show you this. Up in my toolbar or my bookmark bar, I have a remote OAC bookmarked that's not my local machine, and then a local machine bookmark that's just running the OAC server on my laptop here. So right now we are going to log into the local one and play here before we try to go remote and do some collaboration maybe between Dan and I. And maybe if you saw this, my drop-down list had a bunch of users in there. I'll show you that in a second, but I'm going to log in right now as the ultimate database administrator into the environment, so I have full control and full view of everything. So this is your initial view, okay? And if you've seen this before, because this is not the initial release, we got a lot of work done, I'll say productive work done on the interface to add a few more drop downs to it that you might not have seen before, and reorganize some of the classification of the drop down menus so they flow a little more logically if you're going from the older version to this new one. But let me just start here in administration, right? So if you are the DB admin, you have the ability to do things like create users, create departments, monitor user activity, look at the statistics about the system, and check out user logs for any of the users and what they're doing. If I just log into the users section, this is, I've got some created already. But this is where you make new ones in different roles, right? So I've got 3 reviewers right now, actually 4 reviewers. That is a case admin, and I didn't change the role to case administrator. That's kind of funny. We'll go see how that works here in a second. The ultimate administrator that I logged into now is an uploader user. So let me just have a look in here real quick, because we're going to talk about those user roles and then go over to detective and see how we can use one of them specifically. So if I make a user, I can pick, are you a case admin, a reviewer, or an uploader? And I can just highlight this little information thing here to give a description of each one of those. And the case admin can do things right now like a DB admin can, and a reviewer can also do things like a case admin, but they can't delete anything or remove anything that would be of value. Then the uploader does nothing but upload data. And it's kind of interesting because right here, I'm going to jump out of OAC and go start a detective. And this may be, a great use case going forward. Oh gosh, my detective's pretty busy. Hold on, let me clean this up a little bit, just like that. So if I go look at the settings in my detective, I can actually set my detective up with a user in my OAC environment, connecting to it, and I'm just connecting locally through a port, and I'm successfully connected like that. This could be around the world, and then I could come into my case list, and anywhere I have a set of data, and I'll just pick Alex Burnett's phone, I could right click and export data to the Analytics Center. And interestingly enough, I can do it by key evidence or tags. So think about that for a second. If you're running the lab, and prior to this conversation, you're the only person in the lab who gets evidence dumped on the desk all day long, or case matter, or whatever it is, and everybody just says, hey, do what we need with this, and runs away. You're like, whoa, 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 wait a minute. No, it's not just me. You're the one who knows the most about this stuff. You look through it. There really wasn't a super good, well, there was a way you could do it, but not like this, because previously from Detective, we could create an OFBR with two super limited options on the data we want to include in it, and give kind of a neutered review version of Detective to someone and have them load that OFBR. But now I can literally take data that I've tagged in different tags or marked as key evidence, or maybe said include different filters of range, dates and sizes, or at least sizes here, and then export that over to OAC and assign it to users for review. So that just becomes a super effective way when you're not that window, when you're in here and saying, maybe I want to use an uploader user, go throw that in my detective environment. So all they can do is upload data to the OAC environment. Kind of cool. So then once it gets in here, then we can start working on things like, let's look at the data section where we can look at the devices we have loaded and or create cases and assign those data to cases. I don't have any now. We're going to make one in a little bit. Or I can create regions, other filters around the globe, or in my case, some pun worlds of, Middle Earth or the Matrix, or things where incidents occurred, so you can kind of filter different ways. Same thing with, let's create some incidents to apply to cases. So, hey, this case was a particle implosion case. It occurred in the Matrix. So, we've got 4 of those this month. Let's plan accordingly. Just different ways to categorize data once it's in the Analytics Center. And then view-wise, let me jump over here to say, once we have data into the center, whether it's in a case or a device, or it's assigned to one person or 50 people, we have the workspace. And, well, there's 3 views right now: workspace, files, and contacts. Contacts is kind of like what you'd imagine in FTK Detective, where you'd see groups, accounts, and contacts. But I'm really interested in workspace and files, because this is where we're going to kind of find the meat of the data that we're after. So when I go to views, this is kind of a top-down filter. Right now, I'm looking at everything in the database. There are 37,000 entries in my database right now, not filtered by anything. But what I could come do really quickly is come down and pick a case if I had any, don't right now, or a device if I have devices. And sure enough, there's Alex Burnett's iPhone. So if I'm just going to pick that and apply that filter, now I'm down to over 10,000 things, but I'm only looking at the things from Alex Burnett's phone. Right. And then later we could come back and, hey, just show me the messages from, I don't know, WhatsApp, and apply that. And now I'm looking at the 155 WhatsApp messages from Burnett's phone. Right. So the overall premise of the interface is, hey, pick what you want, filter down to what you're after. Maybe you're right clicking, adding a tag, or marking up key evidence here, or maybe modifying a note, and then maybe creating a report. Or if you're tagging things up, other people can see them. You can start working on things together, right? So we'll come back and look at this later, but the workspace is more akin to user data, kind of things you would find on a timeline. But we also have the view that is files. And I can do the same thing here. If I'm looking at everything first, and then I can start drilling down by saying, you know what, show me Burnett stuff. I'm going to apply that filter, and you know what, here I'm just going to go to the categories and say, show me all the pictures. And as a web interface, it's kind of clunky, so let me just scoot that over and check this out in thumbnail view, because maybe that's more effective for me to scroll through, things you'd expect from a review perspective. And then the other view here is contacts, where if I just go hit my contacts world and, I don't know, grab Burnett and apply that filter, then I can come down and see, hey, there's 888 contacts, 6 accounts in here, and 3 groups in Burnett's phone as a data set. So, easy way to filter to that kind of thing from a view perspective. If I come over to search, I've got the ability to search the entire database of cases and devices in here. And, maybe that's careful. Maybe you exceed scope on that, and maybe you assign the right data to the right people, so they don't do that. But that is a massive database search capability where you can create templates. So you can come back and use them again. I have one in here now. Let me just see what that looks like. Let's see. I said to search through the Burnett phone, and I looked in the workspace at details and the descriptions and details categories, which are column fields actually. Description is like content, and details is other things about any given line item. In the file section, I said look through all the file names and all the file content there. And I think that was, no, what did I also say? No, I picked some category. I don't know what it was at the time. And I looked for, this was the Burnett webinar test. And I looked for Burnett. And of course, I have all kinds of Burnett hits and all kinds of different things. I picked the one device at that point, but like I said, I could pick everything in a database search perspective. Or I've got just a device search, which isn't templated, but I got come through and particularly select a device and use a text search, regular expressions. What fields am I trying to focus on to kind of save bandwidth of searching everywhere? And I can throw a keyword set against that if I want, a date and time field. So different search capability. I've got the Elasticsearch ability. If you don't know what Elasticsearch is, let's index everything like crazy, then provide a bunch of operator-based searching. If I had a query here and choose a field, let's say communications and description, I'll add those operators. I could has a value by template or expression as a search mode. I could add conditions like exclude or has not, but I'll just make that search Burnett. And I'm just kind of adding and doing things as I move through these menus. I'll probably come back and do some more as I haphazardly do those things, but I'll search that. I should get some Burnett's out there and some descriptions and images and things where Burnett exists all over the Burnett data set. So a lot of search capability, which would make sense. Some people that have talked about or seen OAC are like, wow, we could do some really big data work with that. This is true, right? So, depending on how many people you assign and how much data you load and how much access you give them to go pour through it, that should get some wheels turning as people start thinking, I want to do this and I want to do that, and a web-based interface. Analytically, look, we have the ability to match. And a matter of fact, I'll just go there. Of course, I have a Burnett test there. What did I do here? So I added Alex Burnett's iPhone, and then I added, I think, a Burnett match data set. So I've got the whole phone and then a subset of data from that phone, which obviously would match. And you can see I have matches over here. But I said, look, in the files section or the files view, go after all the files. Ooh, facial. We'll go back and look at that in a second. And then I came down and I think I just did that. Said Burnett test it and go. And we're going to go search by hash, as we can see here. And when I detect that match set, I get a bunch of different results. And let's just see what the first one is here. Let's see. Let me get my third column back over here. Here's a picture of the Virgin River Casino that is from this particular set. And here is one from the actual, from the Burnett iPhone. Right. And matter of fact, you can see some crazy OCR results from those. I wasn't planning to look at OCR right then, but I wonder if I can find something that's more fun to look at. Well, we'll go look at OCR in general in a second. But yeah, it's a great way to do some data matching from an analytic perspective across devices or all over your database for that matter. You know, one of those great examples of the sexting case where everybody has the same picture. Let's go find it across all the devices so we can get everybody in trouble, right? The social graph, you know, if you have detective and you're used to a social graph, I think I already built one from Burnett's phone. It's kind of like what you would expect. Let me get some more real estate in here and I don't know, expand the communications pane. Let's do the WhatsApp messages between whoever that is and whoever that is. And kind of like what we were used to seeing in the detective world. Hey, is this Jessica's number? I like that. I'm going to tag it, mark it as key evidence, have a blast with that. A lot more coming with the social graph. Right now, you can do it against one device. We're looking for multiple devices, obviously, to find common contacts and things we're used to like that. But building technology like this into a web platform is pretty darn cool to support that. So text analyzer, I'm pretty sure I've done a Burnett test in there. No data, really. Text analyzer. What did I do to break my, no, I didn't. I've got all my columns disappeared. That's one. Come back over here. Okay. So from a text analyzer perspective, I had it all shrunk up for real estate. Let me just look at my dictionary settings. And right now I've just got the default keyword sets in here. Trafficking, organized crime, money laundering, guns and drugs, things you might recognize from detective. So I've already indexed those against everything. If I come back here and I say, right, let's do the Burnett phone and all the categories, go. Well, I get a result of, wow, you got 1,642 hits from the money laundering list, 941 from the trafficking list, 530 from drugs, and their relative eye candy percentages. If I go look at the trafficking ones, they're 824 from group chats, 113 of them were from accounts and contacts, 3 search histories, 1 file. You know, I could come over here and say, okay, so threat. There are 2 detected matches with threat. Show them to me. I'll go look in the workspace. And, oh, I've got 4 in the workspace instead of 2. Maybe I have duplicates. I have to go back and see. But kind of a cool way to say, here's a list of terms. Not only do I want to know if they exist, I want to know how much they exist from I call it eye candy perspective, but when I have a graph and can show somebody else a picture, that's worth 1,000 words. And they're like, oh, wow, you're not only in trouble, you're in trouble way more because you have so many more examples of that. Right? So a fun analytic tool and a way to take you right to those results. And then the map. I mean, gosh, you have to have the map. Think of the map view and detective. I can come out here and pick my Burnett phone again and apply that. And sure enough, there it hits all over the map. I'll go to Hawaii just because I want to be in Hawaii all the time. Let's see, let's drill down into Waikiki Beach and right there on the beach. And what are these? 6 things right here. Let me get this column back over here because there's an attached file to that hit. It's a picture. And oh, that looks like Cheeseburger in Paradise. So what's this one? More of Cheeseburger in Paradise. I need to zoom out. Okay, let's go look at the beach ones. Maybe there's a more fun picture there, but smaller. No, I've got everything so big. I don't know. There we go. The lifeguard station on the beach. But you see the point to that, which is, hey, find things on the map and go check them out. Oh, wow, I really zoomed out of the map there, didn't I? Wow, I zoomed out of the browser like crazy. Hold on, let me fix my life. There we go. So having a map as an analytic tool, you know, great thing to go do the things like you're used to in detective and find things geographically, geolocation data. Tools, you know, we've got keyword sets, hash list, tags, and something fun called the watch list. But a keyword set, I think I have one in here for Uber, right? So you make a keyword set, I would create one, and I added a stunning term to, oh, let's edit that one, the stunning term Uber to this one. And I want to apply it in the workspace and contacts or files or all pages. Let's just do all pages and save that. So then I'll index that against all those pages. And it's interesting that this workflow is, well, do you want to take time, space, and energy to index it against everything, the whole database, or just particular pages of information because you think you might get better results there? Obviously, I have very small data in this database, but you know, think about those resource allocations when you're doing things. So I indexed against all of them. If I went back right now and looked at the workspace, which we're going to do, I want to see if I have any hits of Uber. So matter of fact, I'll just open it from right here in the workspace. Kind of handy. I can do that anytime there's an open button. I have, where do do I want to open it available? I could also open these in new tabs to kind of compare them against each other. So in my world where I have 4 monitors, I have like a map on every or one tab all the time and workspace on the other. And then I'm going to files and looking all over the place. So that's pretty handy. I'll just go to workspace straight up right here. And oh, look, there's a bunch of hits of Uber waiting for me right there, just based on my keyword set. Okay, same thing with hash. I think I created a hash set. I don't know if I have anything in the hash set right now. Let's see. I don't think I do. So what I could do is I've got this Burnett hash set. Let me come back to the workspace. And again, I'm starting at the top and filtering down. So devices, I'll show you another way to do that. You can start right with Burnett, but I'm just going to the whole database and filtering down. Let's do Burnett's iPhone. And I'll start simple with, I don't know, pictures is what I really know. Let me get that first. Filtering top down. And then I'll do, scroll down here for me. Images. So I can pick something really fun and easy. So the rock formation out of Las Vegas. So if I right click and add, oh, no, I can't. You know what? Here's why. That's a fun enumeration of that item in the workspace. Let me go to files and pick Burnett and apply that, walk myself into my own door, and go to categories and find images here. So I'll right click on this crazy snowman from winter and add that to the Burnett hash set. And we'll take Elon Musk and add him to the Burnett hash set, and the rocks from Las Vegas and add those to the Burnett hash set. So now if I go out to that hash set, I should have 3 items in there that were indexed against everything else by hash value. So if I went back to a particular view, I'll just go back to the files, I should have those 3 hits based on that hash set down there. Very cool, right? So create them on the fly inside the interface. If you saw, you could import those from outside when you're creating a new hash set. And, super common that I could be a detective and be doing a couple first passes of review. Give me a search term list. And then I could import whatever it is in detective, filter down to those search term results. Hey, give me a hash list. Filter down to those hash results and just export that key evidence over to OAC. Or on the flip side of it, maybe I don't even get detective involved. I import data and I do just what I did. Let's get some keyword hits. Let's get some hash hits. Let's tag those up and leave them available for someone else to review, right? Because the next thing in the tools section we want to talk about is tags. Now, interesting enough, when you look in here, you may see what we're calling common tags. These look familiar to you at all if you're a detective user? And you have a 50-50 shot of an answer there, and the answer is yes. These are all the image categorization tabs, or tags, not tabs. So, the things that we're algorithmically analyzing like we do a detective to say, hey, that's a drug, that's an alcohol thing, that's something of violence, or a chat message, we're categorizing those the same way in OAC, which is good for the user. You can see I've created a Burnett data tag here, so if I want to run around and tag things that were relative to Burnett, I can do that. We'll come back to tags in another way here soon. But then I can make a watch list, and I think the one I made earlier was an Uber watch list, and I read it or ran it, and what it does when you make a watch list, it's saying, hey, here's a set of things, go immediately against all the data and find out if I have matches to this things, or this thing, or these things. And when I import again later, compare against this stuff immediately, and this little bell kind of notifies us, hey, guess what? Within this device, Burnett match data, you have a detection of Uber. Really? Show me. And I can go right out there and see it immediately. So it's kind of like a watch list. Hey, knock, knock, you have a result. Go look right now. You told me to watch for this. I saw it. Here's a notification. And, people have already seen this and said, hey, that's great. Text my phone. I'm not in the office. And look, that's actually a feature request now to notify you outside the interface when something is done that you want to know about. So the dev crew has lots to do, but that kind of functionality literally warns that. I don't have time to sit here and watch the screen. So if you find something when somebody imports something at midnight, let me know. So watch list, pretty cool like that. Reports. So I happen to have a few reports made, but I'm going to show you how to make a report here in a second. But I've got a CSV, an HTML, PDF. Let me just open the PDF one because those are always my favorite. Let's see, PDF report. And this one right here is just sections. Here's the phone. What was this type of thing? To, from, the description field, tags. I got some thumbnails in there. I think all the way down to I can include the eye candy of a device in here, meaning here are the statistics charts. There's device information and then report information, investigator location, agency, things like that. So simple way to wash, rinse, and repeat. When you get in the interface, you find the things you want to find, you tag them up or key evidence them, and then make a report and give it to somebody or not, right? So let me go back. I don't want to be in this browser. I want to be in this one, browser and reports. So I want to show a couple of things and then do some tagging and then do some collaboration. So I'm going to go to views and files. Not that I want to see myself all the time, but I know there are multiple examples of me in this data. So I'm going to pick the Burnett iPhone. And I'm also going to go down to, well, let me just load Burnett first, since we're going top down. So I load Burnett. And I've got a bunch of things in there, but I want to use facial categorization and say, listen, show me the things that contain faces, face templates, like you'd be used to in Detective. So there are a lot of face templates out here. I think I am on page 4, maybe not. Okay, maybe page 5. Maybe I'm at the end. There's a horrible me screaming. You know, I guess I'm going to live with that. Oh, there's me with long hair. We don't want to see that. Let's start with this one. And I'm going to pick that face and find other faces like it. And now there's plenty of me. And gosh, my whole sad point to this, I guess I'm happy it worked out this way. Sadly, my daughter is in another room, but you know, back when my daughter and I got along great, you know, she was that old. Anyway, the ability to search and match faces from facial categorization is in the tool, which is really cool, right? Let me also do this other example of analytics here and make sure I've got Burnett selected, and then I'm going to go find, I'm using the wrong zoom when I zoom, but let me go find the additional property of as not exit information. How about a little OCR icon of recognized text and see what we see here. Don't know what all we're going to find here. That's, you know, that's nowhere near as fun as, let me try to filter that to pictures. Let's see, not that. If I click on this picture, my OCR has at Terrence Hill, French Foreign. Oh, this is the movie March or Die. Terrence Hill, Adventure War, March, Die. I mean, this is the OCR result for this graphic, right? So again, you know, analytically, it's called the Oxygen Analytic Center. So when we're trying to do that collaborative review, we also have some really fun analytic capability like you'd be used to in the analytics section of Detective, right? So that's cool. Again, you right click, tag it up, mark it as key evidence, whatever it happens to be, because, you know, wash, rinse, repeat. Let me show you this other way to do this. I've been approaching this at top down and then, you know, show the whole database and filter downward. I could come to the device list here and pick any relative device. And let's just say, okay, Burnett, let me open you specifically in the workspace. Instead of going top down, now I'm just starting bottom up with Burnett. Right. So there's, you know, different use cases for approaching it one way or the other, but the tool can do it either way. Funny enough, let me just apply everything into the view here, and then I'm going to show on a map right away. You know, kind of another way. Yes, sir.
I want to make a note there. I threw it in the chat real quick, but I wanted to tell people, since Perfect. You got to a good spot on that. The reason that you were able,
is that where we're sitting?
No, we're okay. I was just going to say the reason that you were able to see when you were going the other way, getting to the data, is because you're logged in as a DB admin, so you can see all the files, everything available in the database. But if you were just a user, right? But if you're logged in as a user, a regular like a reviewer or something, it's only going to take you back as far as whatever's been assigned to you. So,
which we're going to try to show with you.
Right, that's cool. What I know. But I just didn't want them thinking, oh, everybody can see everything all the time in the entire database. that it is there is an assignment level there that would there's kind of a backstop there at the assignment level.
No, that's a great conversation point because you know how we feel about backstop when we play DB admin, and we're always rolling back to everything, right?
Right,
So
right. And I just wanted to point that out, just in case it wasn't clear to anybody. That's all.
no, so what Dan's saying is, when you create a user, and matter of fact, we'll do this here shortly, you can then provide them case access and only give them access to certain cases. So you are not having to filter top down all the time. They're only going to filter. So what do you call that, Dan? Not top down, not bottom up, but middle ground all the time.
Middle to other middle, right?
Yeah, middle to
Partial middle, right?
Yeah, there's up, there's down, there's this and this only. So yeah, that's a great. I mean, that's an integral point actually to the whole collaborative environment of the OAC. So it's funny. Let's what time is it? 11:30. Let's do that. Yeah, I want to go to do something really interesting. So in this, you can see this address here, OAC demo oxygen ddns.net/login. So right now, when I was playing earlier in my detective, my uploader is configured to currently, click that, currently upload to my local machine 127.0.0.1, right? So what I'm going to do, I also know there's an uploader user with the same credentials at that remote location. So I'm going to start going out on the ledge/edge, and I'm going to take this server address that I just logged into. Where's this? Houston, right? That one?
That is Houston.
That is Houston. And I'm going to change this server address to Houston. And let's check that connection. No.
Houston, we have a problem.
Houston, we have a problem. That's funny. Let's try that. No, let's try that.
I think it's the login / at the end.
Oh, you know what? I've got my password and he's got his. So hold on. That's right. I changed my password format's different than his. Hold on. His is. Oh, that'll work. That's not working. Okay.
Without the HTTPS.
So back to that. Huh?
Yeah, it's all
too many addresses going. Are you miserable?
Take out the login piece.
Okay. The man who has the server.
You
just got another right people.
The extractions are already encrypted anyway, so that's why.
Yeah. So Ali is the one speaking on the phone right now, who's hosting the server for us to do this demo. And in the last few days, we've like, let's do this address. Let's do this. Let's not show that one. So thanks, Ali. Appreciate that. I have that pasted in a file, but in that file, I think, are some other passwords. So I was trying to do it from memory. Thank you. So my uploader is now connected to, in my detective here, to this remote OAC environment. So I'm going to log into his DB admin, where I can see what do I have from a data perspective in here. I've got the Alex Burnett iPhone 7, named a little different, 2 or 3 location data things, another version of the Burnett phone, and some match data. And Ollie, I had to do that because your version of the Burnett OFBC was older than the match data I put in there. I couldn't find any. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, that OFBC hadn't been to Disneyland yet and didn't have the pictures from Star Wars Land, which is what I was trying to find. So I'm like, oh, okay then. So I pushed a whole new one. Largely looks the same as the one I was just showing you, except we are someplace totally new, which is a perfect illustration of use case and functionality of the OAC. Hey, listen, I'm in Florida right now. I'm going to push data to Houston so somebody in Virginia can look at it, is our plan. So let's get even crazy, more adventure-y. In my detective, I will come back to, let's just say, let's come to this phone, this Android agent extraction of something. And I'll go to images, and I'll pick this image, and I'll mark it as key evidence. Dan, you get one thing to look at. Can you handle that?
I will try.
You'll try.
Right.
Here we go. So
I like my chances. Right.
Look, this is your lineup. You have to pick the one person that did it, and you get one choice. Okay. So I'm going to export that by key evidence, because that's all I got is the one key evidence thing, to the OAC in Houston. And that should be over in the OAC in Houston. Let me go see. Well, you can see text analyzer indexing is complete. The device has been imported. And typically, until all the processes are done on it, you would see it in the load data section, but it's gone. So I'm hoping it's in the devices section at that point. And there it is. And it's queued for something, and I'm not sure what. So let me try to open it and see if it'll let me open it yet with anything in it. And I'm going to files and devices and that. Well, it's got the 8 things to support that picture. So we won't even have that conversation. We'll go to workspace and we'll go to devices and that. And there's 2 things in there. What 2 things? What did I have in there? Oh, the account. Well, I'll just have to take the account for the device itself right now and the one picture. Interesting enough. So then you have the account name that's associated with that picture and the picture itself. So what I'm going to do.
I will look at 2 files.
You'll look at 2 things for me. Perfect. What I'm going to do, I like it, is go to cases. And I'm going to create a new case. I'm going to call this case number 1 with the name Dan user case. Be very consistent. And from a device perspective, I'll add that Android data we just sent over. Okay, so case number 1 is Dan user, and it's got that device in it, which we know has 2 things for Dan. Okay, now I'm going to go back to admin and create a user. So I'll make this user login Dan user. Give the first name Dan, the last name user. And Dan's password is going to be Oxygen with a capital O 1. And I'll confirm that with Oxygen 1. So uppercase O number 1. Okay, and I'm also going to provide case access to the Dan user, and shockingly, I'm going to give Dan user the Dan user case and add that. So now, we walk back through what we did. I'm in Detective in Florida. I've sent some data to my server in Houston and created a user for Dan, who's in Virginia, to log into there. Now, when Dan shares his screen here in a minute, Dan logs into the same location in Houston. I can preface you with, is Dan going to see both cases in here because we have 2 cases? Or is Dan going to see just the Dan case in here? You got a 50-50 shot in your answer. Let's see what happens. Dan, I'm going to stop sharing and let you share.
Okay. Let's see here. Dan
needs
to show his screen. So Dan is now the presenter. Let's figure out show screen. Oh. There we go. Y'all seeing my screen?
I see your screen.
Dan has 1 case.
Oh, I just minimized your screen. Hold on. Oh, so Dan logged in with Dan user. Let's look at Dan's address. Dan is in the same server, the OAC demo oxygen. And Dan has 1 case.
I do.
Super job.
Just the 1. Okay. Well, let me have a look at my case, shall we?
Okay.
I'll open my case. How about in files? What do you think?
Okay. You might account for a couple other things, but that's cool.
Oh, that's right. Well, so we
that's
look
cool.
at it.
I mean, look at it. You got your key evidence item plus the other structure that supports it. I'm good with that.
We can view that also in Workspace.
Dan has the green UFO icon. That's the
You
circle.
like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that's next level there. So I had something to look for, and I'm looking at the account information. That's great. I see. Look at this file. Let me look at this picture. You know what? I think this is probably the most important thing. Or when you asked me to review that photo from afar, as you assigned it to me, and I want to tell you some important things about this. And I'm going to look at that. This is
Smoking
the
gun.
evidence that we needed. Smoking gun. There you go. I think I'll leave that message for you. Oh, look at that.
Oh,
My note was
save the
saved.
note. All right. I think I know where you're going with this. So let me, we can do hard things. Let me share my screen again now that Dan is doing
Okay.
that.
Do I need to change presenter? Is that what I
I
do
think
here?
I can hijack from you. It's okay.
There you go. I've stopped showing my screen.
Okay. And I'm now going to show my screen again because
Yes, I see your screen.
if I come back down to my OAC, or I'm still in the same place, but I am the admin, or I could be a case administrator right now. If I go to, let's say you did that in Workspace, huh? Not that I
Yep.
think it would matter right now. So I'm looking at the entire database right now. And frankly, I don't know what all has notes or not, so I could be stepping on a landmine right now. But I'm going to try everything, and I'm just going to go to the additional property. Oh, there's 12 of them. So never mind. Let's pretend Dan's case had 15,000 things in it. And if I just select Dan's case and apply that, and then I could go to the thing that says has a note and filter down to that, I should see what Dan said. This is what we need, the smoking gun thing. Interestingly enough, Dan, that's not your picture. So I wonder, not having tried that exact thing that you just put the note on, let's go see if we can view it there and see if it's on that picture. If I can get this out of the way.
So I'll tell you what.
Tell me what.
No. Let me help you here.
Okay.
I actually typed it on that on the account
Did you?
information.
Yes, you did, because it's not
I
over
sure
there
did.
for the picture itself.
I'm looking at it right now. I actually typed it on the account information.
Like, you put it on one of them, and it was the account information.
So, no,
So,
no matter how good the software is, it doesn't make up for Dan being a bit of an idiot.
Well, hey, go do the graphic now.
Okay, I will definitely do that.
We can certainly do that too.
Okay, so I'm doing this in live time, man.
Collaboration is good, albeit
yes.
when it's done the right way.
And so here you go. There you go. So there. Now you have two notes.
You have a new note.
Check them out.
Okay, so let's do that. Okay, now what did he have? 15,000 things, right? And
Yeah.
however, he's noted how many of them.
So I fixed that note. Yeah, right.
Oops, that's no. Dan, well, I don't know if I'd go that far. But so we could leave notes back and forth. No, Dan, it's okay. You're a good guy. You're a good guy. But now wait a minute. But did you note the picture, or did you just change the note on here?
Check the picture too.
Okay, let's see here. Images.
I did that second. It may not have refreshed yet.
Let me go look over here. I just want to see. Devices, Dan stuff, and as note. Put that all work together. Dan says, this is the evidence that we need smoking gun. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Almost. Man, it was almost flawless.
Listen, that's still, if I could make us, if I could have since Ollie's on there, we all three get in there and share a screen and do a what's my IP to show we're really not sitting in the same room. You just have to trust that, hey, that's the essence, right? I mean, if we recap that, I'll be the lab person who has never had a web platform ever. I just have detective. And everybody dumps their stuff on me, and I've been dying for a way for them to look at it without trying to teach them a detective review interface. And I know they're on the web all the time. I mean, this is standard collaboration conversation here. Hey, Dan, I'm sick of doing this work for you. You know more about your case data than I do. You're going to look at it. Dan's like, yeah, right. I'm not using that crazy. And I know nobody's going to buy a license of that for me. And my response is, au contraire, mon frere. I don't need a license for you. I got my own new tool. Sit down right there. Go to this website. What? Oh, yeah. I saw you surfing the web today. I know you know how to do it. Here's the username and password. Log in. Now, I'm going to show you two things, the workspace and the files views. Click in there. See anything that looks familiar, Dan? And Dan can't help but say, no way, really?
Yes.
Yeah, I do, but I don't want to admit to this, but yeah, I do. And, life changes from that moment forward because I can assign specific data to Dan. That's the killer is Dan can dump 10 gig on me and I can give Dan 500K back and stuff to go through that's relevant to what he gave me when I said, well, don't you leave here without giving me a search term list. Or I know you're looking for these type of images or this proprietary data that I can hash and work with you and help you. And then I'm going to show you how to tag something. And once you think you've got cool things tagged and you feel really cool about it, we're going to make a report for that. And now you're on your way and you're not waiting on me. Or Dan and the entire unit dump 200 terabytes on. Okay, that's a lot more on me. And we in turn give it not back to just Dan, but a bunch of people. Hey, Dan, you do all the pictures. Hey, Ali, you do all the documents. Hey, Keith, you do all the whatever data. And I can really start partitioning out the work and they can all collaborate together in real time. And as you saw, Dan just left me the note that he's a ding dong and I could write back, no, man, it's cool. Find it by tomorrow though, or you're fired. Right. I mean, we could use the notes to talk back and forth about. That's a nice side feature. But we did that across 3 states in this conversation in this webinar. So that's what OAC is doing for us, is giving us an ever-growing analytic web-based platform to collaborate in real time all over the place. What kind of questions you guys have on that? Questions or comments, or hey, can it do this? Or hey, this, that, or the other. And I can actually pull this up right now and look and see. Questions? None. Okay.
Nope. Question chat's been quiet.
Chat's been quiet. Oh, there's one. Something to note here. Oh, that's you, Dan.
That was me.
Okay. Well, I want to leave little time for Q&A, you guys and gals, or everybody. Dan, what else would you want to show right now? Or Ali, what else would you want to show right now? Give them the opportunity since we can play.
Well, instead of just showing something, I just want to kind of recap on something that you said, and it's we've all in the forensics world, all of us who've been doing forensics for a long time, have been comfortable with the whole idea of like the viewer program or reader portable case or whatever kind of idea that is, and the limitations of that, we pretty much hit that once we got to COVID, right? Sharing these large bulk files, sharing these applications that you may or may not be able to load on your computer because the IT department or whatever. This is the new model, collaborating with this stuff over the web. I mean, and the internet's there, this is the way that everything's going. Not just us, but I'm sure other companies are going to, catch up with us on some of this stuff too. And the abilities it gives us in real-time collaboration are just amazing. When you have large cases that span multiple jurisdictions or even around the world, we can all get in here and work on this stuff together so that, when you have like a mass event or something like that you're investigating, you can get the information out to the people that need it as fast as possible. And so we have built this with that in mind from the law enforcement side of the house, just to get it data out to, to have actionable intelligence all the way over to the just the regular review side of the house that just needs to find documents or find photos and just have a look and see what needs to be forwarded on for, just an individual case perspective. So we've got a lot of cool stuff planned for this even going forward. it's still a relatively young product, but we've gotten great feedback from our users, and we've got a nice list of things that are going to be incorporated in coming releases. And we're really excited about it, where it is now and where it's going as well. If there's something y'all see in here that you'd have a question about, or maybe a feature that you think would be a really cool thing based on everything that Keith's shown you today, man, we'd love to hear it. But we're really excited about it, and the way it kind of works with our other existing product lineup is really, really cool. That's it. That's what I have.
Said. I'm just creating new cases and playing while you're doing that. Ali, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just like to add, right? I mean, having a deep IT background and a deep distaste for sending my personal data to somebody else's servers, right? It's this is nice that the data belongs to the owners. We never see it, and that really excites me in that sense where it's you never have to share anything with the vendor. So that's I don't know if Keith or Dan, you guys spoke about how this is hosted, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could certainly from a oh dang, what's the word I'm looking for here? From a not vendor, service
Well, yeah,
provider.
right. Well, so like, yeah, what I think, and something a good point Ali brought up is, yeah, we just so you know, we didn't really touch on this, but this is an application. This is an application that you host on your box, not ours. You're not sending data to be hosted by Oxygen Forensics. That's not what we do. We sell software, and you can install that software on your environment, and you host from your environment. This never comes to us. We don't see your data. We don't want your data. So you can host this Oxygen Analytic Center application internally on your network. You can host it in the cloud. If you get to set the parameters on who can join and who can't. It's completely up to you. We don't want control over your data, and we will never have it. Good point, Ali.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. Well, that's about 5 minutes to the hour.
All right, everybody gets 5 minutes in their day back.
First time in history, I am not talking over the time allotted. I guess we could do some more fun examples, but I think we got the point across. And listen, after this, I don't have a slide made up for this, but Keith.Lockhart at oxygenforensics.com or Dan.Dollarhide. I mean, let us know. I mean, questions, comments, ideas, want to see it again, want to see it this way, want to make it do this. We love doing this kind of stuff, and we're all about that. So drop us a line. Okay, then I will close out our webinar. Have a great Monday, everybody, and we'll speak to y'all later.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.